Welcome to our first night of live coverage of AirVenture 2011. I'm Tom Patton, and I'm joined by Paul Platt. Each evening at this time, we'll bring you a live wrap-up of today's activities.
Aero-TV's live coverage of EAA AirVenture 2011 is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
Flightline introduces the Oracle Engine Power Management System for twin-engine aircraft. Featuring independent glass panel units in horizontal or vertical form factors, Oracle provides reliable access to all your critical engine data and its STC for primary. It's the best co-pilot you'll ever have.
Aspen Avionics Evolution Synthetic Vision is the most versatile, flexible, affordable synthetic vision on the market. Advanced features include high-resolution terrain rendering, precision flight path marker symbology, predictive caution and warning messages for terrain and obstacles, and easy-to-see 3D traffic targets. User-configurable layouts allow you to put the information where you want, on the PFD, on the MFD, or both. Choose the Evolution layout that works best for you. Aspen Avionics, a new way to look at avionics.
Welcome to our first night of live coverage of AirVenture 2011. I'm Tom Patton, and I'm joined by Paul Platt. Each evening at this time, we'll bring you a live wrap-up of the day's activities here at the show and talk to some of the people making news this week. Avidyne led off the day today, introducing a full line of panel-mounted plug-and-play avionics for general aviation aircraft. The new avionics stack includes the IFD540 FMS GPS navigation communication system with a touchscreen user interface, a stereo audio panel with marker beacon, a Mode S Extended Squitter transponder, and the DFC90 Digital Autopilot. Each of these products is designed to be a plug-and-play replacement for previous generation avionics systems while adding significant performance, ease of use, and safety enhancements. While there was no announcement concerning touchscreen capability for the installed R9 avionics, Avidyne President and CEO Dan Schwinn said that the IFD540 is essentially a miniaturized R9 and that, quote, the technology would be going back and forth with a lot of cross-pollination between the products. Schwinn said that certification on all of these products is scheduled for sometime in 2012.
Superior Air Parts ended the year 2008 with a bankruptcy filing and is now back under Chinese ownership. Tim Archer is back as the CEO of the company as well, and he announced today that Superior has been in negotiations with suppliers as it ramps back up and has discovered that some costs are coming in lower than anticipated, which will allow the company to offer customers, which many are rebuilding shops, lower prices than expected on the company's products, including some Millennium cylinder assemblies. He noted that popular Superior products are returning to inventory, with XP engines and kits now being delivered, Vantage engine kits returning to production soon, and the company gearing up to meet a brisk demand from rebuilders for its aftermarket cylinders for Lycoming and Continental engines. You can find more detail on this story in the morning at aero-news.net. But an interesting prediction from Tim Archer was that the explosive growth expected in the Chinese aviation market will happen, but he says it's being dramatically overestimated and overstated by American manufacturers. He says that it will happen, but it's being over-anticipated because, in his words, it's essential for our survival. And he says while it will not happen as quickly as everybody thinks it will eventually come.
The Commemorative Air Force Red Tail Squadron has come to AirVenture to introduce a new educational tool, the Rise Above Traveling Exhibit. It can be found near the CAF Red Tail Squadron booth at Conoco-Phillips Plaza. The initiative includes a traveling theater with a 170-degree screen housed in a brand new customized 53-foot trailer with expandable size that can comfortably accommodate an audience of 30 people. The theater features two films, one 14 minutes and one 35 minutes, created by Emmy Award-winning filmmaker Adam White. The film was produced to inspire young people with the story of the Tuskegee Airmen and provide an experience of flight.
Why does my brand new $500,000 airplane come with magnetos when my 30-year-old junker car came with electronic ignition? Well, if you're one of the people who has asked that question, You'll be happy to know that Electro Air has developed an answer finally. The company has a new electronic ignition system for both home-built and certified aircraft. They can equip your experimental aircraft now, and they anticipate a supplemental type certificate for use on four-cylinder Lycomings by mid-August of this year. Advantages include a much hotter spark and variable timing advance up to 39 degrees before top dead center. That's based on manifold pressure. That can help produce 10 to 15% better fuel efficiency, more horsepower when you need it, and improved high-altitude performance. A typical installation will replace a single magneto with the electronic ignition while retaining the other original mag as backup in case of failure of the electronic system or the airplane electrical system that's required to power it. Pricing is normally about $3,500, but right now there's a show special on at Oshkosh for $2,895. You can get details at Oshkosh in Exhibit Hangar C or contact sales at electroair.net.
A new initiative to explore a path to a transformative change in the aviation industry was announced today by ANN CEO Jim Campbell. The two-day Aviation Transformation Conference, or ATC 2012, will be held in St. Louis, Missouri in March of next year. Joining Campbell on the podium were Kestrel President and CEO Alan Klappmeyer, Eclipse developer Vern Rayburn, and former AOPA President Phil Boyer. On the first day of ATC 2012's 2 days in March, participants will work through a critical examination of everything that's keeping the aviation world stalled in what Campbell called its current failure mode. Campbell said it will be a critical self-examination of, quote, everything wrong with the industry, conducted in exacting detail so that issues can be categorized, prioritized, and grouped for examination and potential resolution. Then on day 2, conceptual workshops will be tasked with examining the issues distilled from day 1 to seek initial solutions and paths and recommendations for potential courses of action. Each of these work groups will then present summaries of their discussions to the whole conference and start preparing for a more comprehensive report that'll be made available to the entire conference within 30 to 60 days. Campbell says he plans to spend the next 60 days in consultation and in building consensus among the aviation community. 2 people were fatally injured this morning after departing from Whitman Regional Airport in a Piper Cub. The plane, registered to Kenneth Wood of Mount Carmel, Illinois, went down in Lake Winnebago, south of Oshkosh. The Fond du Lac County Sheriff's Office said the accident occurred about 11:49 Central Daylight Time and that 2 people were pulled from the aircraft by Sheriff's Department divers. The accident is still under investigation.
Over the years, Chris Heins has introduced more than a dozen successful kit aircraft designs, and Zeniths to Oshkosh gathered owners, enthusiasts, and at least 50 aircraft from around the world to honor him today at ConocoPhillips Plaza. Attendees have come from as far away as Australia and New Zealand. Today was Chris Heins' Day at Oshkosh, and other events during the week will include forum presentations on the various Zenith models, an address by Chris Heins at the Home Builders Hangar, and a banquet.
Now, the semi-rectangular area near the Whitman Field flight line that used to be known as the West Ramp was officially dedicated today as ConocoPhillips Plaza. The plaza is home to many of the featured attractions, ranging from historic warbirds to the latest innovations in flight. One of the marquee attractions at the plaza this year will be Boeing's new Dreamliner later in the week. ConocoPhillips Plaza also will be home to several presentations and opportunities for AirVenture attendees to meet airshow performers, innovators, and other noted speakers throughout the week on a newly constructed stage designed to bring military and general aviation notables to the AirVenture audience. And you might actually be able to hear REO Speedwagon performing on the plaza right now.
Veteran airshow performer Greg Poe died suddenly after an apparent heart attack Sunday at the age of 57. The native of Boise, Idaho, had been performing professionally for over 20 years at airshows, acquired over 10,000 flight hours and over 100 types of aircraft in his career. He's survived by his daughter Kelsey, girlfriend Terry, and brothers Russ and Rick Poe. Greg's Ryan J. Poe Foundation was named for his son, who was lost to drug addiction in 2002. Through that loss came his Elevate Your Life program, through which he's spoken to thousands of school kids with a message of aim for the sky, encouraging them to follow their dreams and not let the world distract them from their goals. Greg Poe Airshows Incorporated issued a statement that it intends to continue operations in both the airshow arena and the Ryan J. Poe Foundation, and will be making decisions toward achieving that goal in the near future. A service is being planned and will be released. Details will be released on gregpoe.com and on Facebook at Greg Poe Airshows. Those wishing to make contributions in Greg's memory can make a donation to the Ryan J. Poe Foundation. In 2009 at Cecil Field in Florida, ANN's Jim Campbell had the chance to talk to Greg Poe about his aerobatic career.
Well, for me, aerobatics started as a teenager. I was still a student pilot. My flight instructors always said he would never do that again, teach a student pilot how to do aerobatics. But it was more recreational aerobatics in the younger years. And then I got interested in competition. I wanted to get better, and I believed that was the way to do it. I spent several years competing, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. But I guess for me, as a means of paying for this very, very expensive sport, and probably some of the ego and the ham bone in me, air shows, I just kept going back to that time when I was at the Reno Air Races, and that's what I wanted to do. So I transitioned into air shows and found that it fit me well. Some things are natural and some aren't. It flowed well for me, and I took to it pretty quickly and got real serious about it.
And that's a look at some of the events and activities that went on today at AirVenture 2011. I hope you join us again tomorrow at this time for a live wrap-up of the day's events. On the schedule tomorrow are a major announcement from Aspen, and we'll hear from airshow legend Bob Hoover.
Coming up after the break, we'll talk with Avidyne Chief Operating Officer Patrick Herguth about today's announcement of a new generation of avionics. You're watching Aero-TV. Aero-TV's live coverage of EAA AirVenture 2011 is brought to you in part by Aspen Avionics, a new way to look at avionics, and by AvConnect. Every record, one location. Concorde Platinum Series batteries are available for all aircraft and offer extra cranking power, resulting in less draw on the battery per cycle for longer life. Visit booth 2053 at Oshkosh. Concorde, for the heart of your aircraft.
The DFC90 all-digital attitude-based autopilot delivers significant performance and safety improvements over previous generation systems. Its innovative flight envelope protection guards against autopilot-induced stalls, and the straight and level mode provides one-button recovery from unusual attitudes for an added measure of safety. Immensely popular within the Cirrus community, the DFC90 is now being made available for a growing list of aircraft including Piper Matrix and Mirage, Cessna 182s, and Beech Bonanzas and Barons. Fly with confidence. Fly with DFC90.
ANN's exciting Oshkosh 2011 coverage of the LSA and sport plane movement is made possible through a generous grant from Icon Aircraft. Setting a new standard for light sport aircraft, Icon designs and manufactures the innovative Icon A5 amphibious sport plane.
And welcome back to Aero-TV's live coverage of AirVenture 2011. I'm Tom Patton, and joining me is Avidyne's Chief Operating Officer, Patrick Herguth. And Patrick, thanks very much for joining us on our inaugural broadcast from AirVenture.
Great, thanks, Tom. Pleasure to be here.
There was a big announcement from Avidyne today, something that I think is going to really be something of a sea change in the avionics industry. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. We announced today a new radio stack from Avidyne, and this really builds on the history and legacy of Avidyne. We pioneered in the multifunction displays. Then we came on to offer full integrated flight decks for OEMs, and most recently our Release 9 product as a retrofit to our existing Integra product customers in the Cirrus and Piper line. And we had a lot of customers coming up and asking, can I get this in my Baron, Bonanza, Cessna 182? And to do a full integrated system the STC hurdle is very tough. So basically we've taken the same architecture from the R9 and put that into the size format of a GNS 530. So we've created a plug-and-play compatible product that takes everything from R9, the whole new architecture that we have, that really is going to make it available for almost every aircraft out there. Our intent is to really create a STC AML that is as broad as Garmin's. So not only have we done that, but we've also introduced an audio panel, a transponder, and then also our autopilot, which we've sold over 700 of in the last year to the Cirrus community as a drop-in replacement for the 55X. We've announced that we're doing STC programs for the Bonanza, Baron, and Cessna 182. So our main themes today were really about plug and play, because we know installation costs are a big part of this. And ease of use has always been a hallmark for Avidyne. and really bringing that out to a much broader range of aircraft than traditionally we've been in over the last 2 years in the aftermarket arena.
Explain a little bit about that plug-and-play architecture. What does that mean to the pilot?
Sure. We started with the DFC90 and the Cirrus, which is our digital autopilot product. When we had a full architecture internally, and we're like, well, if we go out and sell this and a guy has to open up his airplane and replace the servos and do this big invasive installation, we didn't think a lot of people would go for that. Even if we could keep our product cost relatively low, the installation cost would be a barrier. So we designed it. We told our engineers, let's design this to be plug and play. So we gave them the challenge, pull the 55X out, plug the DFC90 in, and it's got to work. And that's what we've achieved. And in a year, we've sold probably more digital autopilots than anybody else in the market because we made it so easy to plug in. So we took the same philosophy with our IFD540 to be able to pull out a 530 or 530W, plug it in, redo your configurations, and you're off and flying.
I've had the opportunity to fly with the DFC100 and the Aero-news Cirrus with the R9. And it's pretty impressive autopilot. What are some of the features that go with that?
Well, the ad we have running now is plug and play for straight and level. So basically, if you can plug and play, put the DFC90 in, now you have the straight and level functionality that until now was you really only got if you bought a new airplane. So it's a big safety feature, especially we know it's very popular with the passengers that maybe sit in the right seat a lot to be able to know that safety functionality is there, to be able to hit the button. Also, flight envelope protection. So in traditional, or say, legacy autopilots, if you command a 500 foot per minute climb and the airplane doesn't have the energy or the power to do that, it'll keep trying to climb until it gets into a stall. We were the first to introduce in light GA the ability for the autopilot to trade altitude for airspeed. So it will not stall you. And there's been a lot of accidents. We looked at, safety is a big part of what we try to do, simplicity, safety, and making it easy to interact with the autopilot, but also to keep you safe. So if you get distracted and you've commanded a climb and you're talking ATC and all of a sudden, things get away from you, that could be a real problem in an older autopilot where ours will alert you and say, underspeed, give you an underspeed alert. You look, it'll put the nose down, give you some airspeed, then you realize, okay, here's what's going on, give it some power, and then you're off and it goes back to holding the altitude you wanted. So to us, it's a huge safety feature as far as functionality goes. What a lot of the Cirrus and Piper owners that are flying it now is you have an indicated airspeed mode, so you can climb on an airspeed. I knew when I flew out here, just put it at 110 knots in the Cirrus and climb at 110 and get up to 10,000, 10.5, and it's a great feature again that generally hasn't been available in light GA.
Let's talk a little bit about the IFC540 because this is kind of a game-changing product, particularly with the touchscreen functionality. Why did you decide to go touchscreen?
Well, we've always been about ease of use, and touchscreen's been around obviously for a long time, and I think especially with what Apple's done, it's really matured to the point where we felt comfortable bringing it out in a product. But if you look at our design philosophy, we've have a lot more buttons still on the product. And I know when I was using it today and having our product experts show me around on it, there's certain things you just like to do with a button. And there's also certain things you like to do on the screen, like panning is an easy, natural thing where you just want to pan through or scroll through a list like you do on your Apple products or other touch products. But there are things like when you want to sort of move between certain functions, you want to use a knob. So really what we've said is let's not pick a philosophy. Let's let the user choose. So if you're in turbulence, you've got a knob to hang on to. If you want to be able to pan quickly through a list or across the map, you can do that. So really our philosophy toward this is give the user a choice.
As you have tested this product, which do people tend to kind of gravitate towards? Do they go back and forth between the touchscreen and the buttons pretty easily?
I think they. So it's been interesting today because we just introduced this. We're first seeing our first sort of general public look at this, and we did design it because we know we're replacing a 530. So we left a few of the key buttons like tuning the nav and tuning the radio in the same place so people naturally go there. We did the same thing with our DFC90. We try to keep things familiar enough to the 55X so your training carries over. But then we start to show guys how to use the touch interface. Plus it's pretty natural. It flows from using touch products in their phones and tablets, that they figure it out pretty quickly. And you watch, and they do go between them. Sometimes they'll do it with a touch. Sometimes they'll do it with the button. And again, I think it's the kind of thing once people get used to it, they will. I think they'll use both interchangeably, and really not even think about it.
How does the touchscreen work in navigation functions?
Well, we have a rubber banding feature. So if you are on a flight path and you want to change that, you can touch with that graphically and change it over. Also, on the communication side, we have got this frequency list where, as you're getting handed off from center to center or approach to approach, you can have the frequency list up, and it knows geographically where you are. So I know for me, as a relatively new pilot, I'm trying to scramble and write it down, respond back, remember the number. You can just have a frequency list. As soon as they call your call sign, call it up. It's there. They give you the number. You touch it, automatically tunes it, swap it, and you're talking. And then it identifies it and tells you who you're talking to.
It's interesting that you say as a relatively new pilot. I guess that means that you're looking at something that really can be a very intuitive product for people to come in and learn very quickly.
Well, I balance out the rest of the guys there who are 1,000-hour pilots, and I do try to bring a little bit of that newbie. Okay, I just started this 3 years ago with flying, so it is interesting. I watch how our power users, and again, I'm not doing the product justice. I'm not the right guy to give a full demo on it or even talk about all the advanced features there, but for me, there's certain things where I see compared to what I'm using today. I'm like, okay, that would really help my workload, and then I would start to get more into the product. So it is one of the great things about Avidyne is that we have a dedicated group of guys that work on the user interface, and I see this across if you look across our products, it looks very consistent because there's about 10 guys in the company, led by Dan Schwinn, our CEO founder, that they spend half a day every day talking about user interface. How would a pilot do this? They go out, we get feedback, we bring in people. So it's really pilot-centric the way we design the products. And I think that's why it's shown whenever we've had a head-to-head competition, we always win on ease of use. And we're continuing to try to do that with the IFD540 and also things like audio panel and transponder, where that's technology that's been around for a long time. When we really sat down and said, what do you need to use 95% of the time? Bring it to the front. Make it easy to do those things like pilot isolation, right? To be able to say, all right, I just want to listen or I just want to talk to the co-pilot. I know for me, looking at an audio panel, I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I look at ours and say, oh, just keep cycling this button. If it's green between myself and the co-pilot, we're talking and the passengers aren't. If it's just me, I'm talking. So just things like that where it's just really intuitive. My goal next year is to have my, who will then be 6- and 7-year-old boys, to be able to demo the product at Sun and Fun. So if a 6- and 7-year-old can do it, then we know we're hitting the mark. I
don't know, kids are pretty technologically savvy. They might be better than some of us older guys.
Yeah, well, the fact they can pick up at any technology and figure it out, but that's going to be their job is to do a demo next year.
Let's move down the stack a little bit and talk about the transponder because it is going to be fully ADS-B compliant.
Right, we've got we have an active traffic system, our TAS series of products. We announced previously that they will be upgradable to be ADS-B in compatible. Now adding a transponder gives us the ability to have the ADS-B out compliance that's really looming out there for 2020 with the FAA, and also then the IFD540 is a GPS compatible with that. So really, with Avidyne, you can now have a full ADS-B compatible system.
And then the audio panel adds some Bluetooth connectivity and a couple other nice features.
Yep, and that's where, obviously that's where things are going. People have devices, they want to be able to use what they have and have an interface with their existing systems. So again, that's the kind of thing where we think, how do we keep things simple? How do they connect what they already have, utilize what they have, which again is a big part of what we've tried to do with our R9 upgrades, the IFD540, and then our autopilot is leverage what's already in your plane in order to keep costs down as much as possible.
Now, for the R9 installed pilot who says, hey, I'd like to have touchscreen capability, is that on the horizon?
So I'm going to stay really safe here and just parrot what Dan said at the press release today, or the press conference today, which is that when we built these products, Avidyne's invested about $100 million in bringing up this new architecture that first made itself to the market, or it was brought to the market via the R9 upgrade for the Cirrus, now the Piper. Now it's making its way into the stack retrofit with the IFD540. For us internally, the easiest way to run this is we've got a single build of code, same hardware architecture. That's the way for us to keep our costs down. So what I think Dan exactly said, you'd expect to see crossover between the feature functionality, and since that's all he said, that's all I'll say.
You've had a couple of other announcements this week as well already. One was the synthetic vision for the R9. How far out is that on the horizon?
We're at what we call internally code complete. So that means the features are locked down, or say feature complete. So now it's really in the engineer's hands to finish writing the code, and then we have to go through our certification steps, and then we hand that to the FAA for certification. And again, as Dan mentioned today, with the uncertainty of the FAA, it makes it tough for us to predict when we can get it into a customer's hand. So really, we've tried to just determine, we're probably 5 months from being able to submit something, and then after that, it's tough for us to make predictions.
Patrick Herguth with Avidyne, thank you very much for joining us today on our inaugural live broadcast from AirVenture 2011. We really appreciated having you today.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
When we come back, we'll be back to wrap up our afternoon newscasts. Right after this commercial break, you're watching Aero-TV.
Aero-TV's live coverage of EAA AirVenture 2011 is brought to you in part by Avidyne, flying made simple, and Concorde Battery, the heart of your aircraft. Visit 4flight.com today to learn about 4Flight Mobile version 4. From the new instrument plates organizer to the intelligent navlog, having 4Flight Mobile 4 in your flight bag will transform the way you plan and fly every flight. Redbird Flight Simulations is dedicated to revolutionizing flight training by designing, manufacturing, and delivering affordable and innovative flight training technologies. Each Redbird device is designed to enhance the training experience for pilots of all levels, from student to ATP. Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
Well, Paul, it was a Chamber of Commerce day here at Whitman Regional Airport, and we're expecting more of the same with the National Weather Service telling us we're going to have sunny skies again and highs in the mid-80s, maybe a chance of some thunder. And I resisted the urge to draw the weather graphics on my Apple mobile device here, but we are expecting some thunderstorms later on in the week, but then it really wouldn't be Oshkosh without a little mud on your shoes.
No, and I got to say, it's been wonderful so far. I mean, we've been very lucky. Well, a funny thing happened over at EAA headquarters today. Dick Napinski, who is the media director here, apparently has some habits, old habits that die hard. For years, everybody has called that big rectangular place you talked about earlier, Aeroshell Square. And now there have been some sponsorship realignments. It's now dubbed ConocoPhillips Plaza. Apparently, Dick Napinski has had a jar in his office, and every time he slipped up and called it Aeroshell Square, he's had to throw a quarter in it. And what we're hearing is that maybe it's a good idea that fine is not $1. But for those of you who've heard us say ConocoPhillips Plaza and wondered where it is, that's where it is. So you know that big square thing in the middle is what we're talking about.
The West Ramp.
That's right, the West Ramp. The West Ramp. Well, that's it for our inaugural broadcast to close down AirVenture on opening day of EAA AirVenture 2011. For Tom Patton, I'm Paul Plack. Have a clear and unlimited day.
Aero-TV's live coverage of EAA AirVenture 2011 is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
Flightline Systems introduces the Oracle Engine Power Management System. Featuring a revolutionary glass panel display that mimics your analog gauges, Oracle provides intuitive access to all your critical engine data at a glance, and it's STC'd for primary operation. Oracle is also available for twin engine aircraft, featuring independent glass panel units in horizontal and vertical form factors. New this year are versions for fixed-wing, turbine, and rotary-wing aircraft with a variety of display options. Oracle is the best co-pilot you'll ever have.
Avidyne sets a new standard for simplicity and safety with our all-new panel-mounted avionics stack. The IFD540 GPS Navcom features our award-winning FMS with an intuitive touchscreen user interface. Plus, it's a slide-in replacement for 530 series navigators, which reduces installation costs. The AMX240 is our new audio panel with intercom and Bluetooth music interface. And our AXP340 Mode S transponder with ADS-B out is a slide-in replacement for existing KT76A transponders. Add in our innovative DFC90 series autopilot with flight envelope protection, and you've got the most capable and easy-to-use avionics stack any pilot could ever need. Now you have a choice in the
ANN's exciting Oshkosh 2011 coverage of the LSA and sport plane movement is made possible through a generous grant from Icon Aircraft. Setting a new standard for light sport aircraft, Icon designs and manufactures the innovative Icon A5 amphibious sport plane. Aspen Avionics Evolution Synthetic Vision is the most versatile, flexible, affordable synthetic vision on the market. User configurable layouts allow you to put the information you want on the PFD, MFD, or both. Aspen Avionics, a new way to look at avionics. Visit 4flight.com today to learn about 4Flight Mobile version 4. From the new instrument plates organizer to the intelligent navlog, having 4Flight Mobile 4 in your flight bag will transform the way you plan and fly every flight. Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration. Concorde Platinum Series batteries are available for all aircraft and offer extra cranking power, resulting in less draw on the battery per cycle for longer life. Visit booth 2053 at Oshkosh. Concorde, for the heart of your aircraft.